Greg James, hello.
Hello from the Radio 1 studio.
How's it going, mate? You're right.
Yeah, it's a room I never thought I'd be self-isolating in, that's for sure.
Yeah. Tell me what the setup's like then, because I imagine not all your colleagues are about. You're probably things are probably fairly limited. People socially distancing themselves as much as best as possible.
Yeah, so we are now down to me and the producer in the studio, and then we have what we call a unit assistant in the live lounge, sort of running other stuff, so looking for text or callers, whatever. But it's very much a skeleton staff. We still do our morning meeting, so we do a 5:30 meeting where we just come up with the show essentially, and we look at all the stuff that's happened overnight, and we go, oh, what's the funny bit? What bit can we do a take on? What's the mood of the nation? That kind of thing. And we're still doing that, but we're having people on sort of FaceTime or whatever, or just dialing in and having them on the phone. So it's I mean, weirdly an exciting time to have to cobble together something. And there's been a real sense from all the listeners across all the shows that some normality in having the normal Radio 1 schedule, to a certain extent, being normal in an abnormal time, is sort of quite comforting to people. And it's been quite comforting to me, actually, to have something to focus on and realize that you're sort of providing a service in amongst a very busy landscape of rolling news, people just saying every deepest, darkest thought on Twitter seemingly every few seconds. Actually having something to distract you and just to remind you to sort of be calm but stay connected and sort of look out for other people has been a really interesting experiment for us. And also it was kind of bizarre, like we never thought that this is a part of doing the breakfast show that I never thought would be a thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, when I got this show, whatever, 18 months or so ago, you never think, what would happen to the show during a pandemic? And, you know, it's a very strange time for everyone, but we're really feeding off the listeners, and the reaction seems to be that they're really appreciating some silliness. I suppose silliness has never been more important.
Yeah, I want to pick up on something you said there. The word that interested me was connection, because I think particularly if people are self-isolating, and, you know, that may mean, okay, maybe housemates that they see regularly, or it may mean being alone for extended parts of the day. And actually radio takes on a new form then, doesn't it? It's no longer what you listen to on the car on the way to work. It's potentially the only voice you hear all day.
Yeah, well, that's weirdly at these sorts of times when people want to feel connected and together, there is no better medium actually than radio, because it is the most intimate medium, and you are talking, you know, through this very microphone, you're sort of talking directly to a person who thinks they know you really well. They do know you really well, but, you know, they are your friends and you are their friends almost. And that's weirdly where radio comes into its own. And what we've been saying a lot this week is if you are isolated, you don't actually have to feel lonely. I guess there's a difference there between being isolated and being actually lonely. And I suppose being there for people who are on their own is really important. You know, if you've got a voice in the house or you're talking to your friends on text or whatever, you aren't lonely necessarily, I guess.
And I think that's actually maybe something that we've lost, is in the age of streaming, where we watch what we want when we want, without you lose out on that the communal aspect of everyone listening to the same thing at the same time, if you know what I mean. And that, even if you're not speaking to someone, you know that you have a shared experience. There's this communal experience going on. Yeah,
well, we've always said that with whenever people have tried to write off radio as an archaic medium. Actually, yes, it's been going forever in terms of media terms, but it's very quick to adapt. It's very reactive and is incredibly spontaneous and very live. It's the most this is the most dangerous piece of equipment ever. It's like, you know, you can really make someone's day, or you can sort of break your career if you say the wrong word. But in that respect, it's a very malleable medium, and that we can change our tone very quickly, and we can get listeners on really quickly. You don't have to send a film crew or sign forms to say, do you mind being used on ITV? Like you can actually just do it very quickly, and we see a text and we get that caller straight on, and we get them to request a song, and that can change people's days quite quickly. So it's always been a very good medium for breaking news and reacting to news and events. So actually it's when people lean on it the most, and if it's a reminder of how important radio and public service broadcasting can be, then that, I suppose, if you're looking for any good things, that is certainly a good thing.
And beyond, a regular news update as well, there is certainly value and importance in positivity for people, and reminding people that we are, I guess, in this together, that there are people acting kindly, generously, volunteering, and informing people about that and providing positivity to people is really important, as well as the factual news base of public service broadcasting.
Yeah, well, I guess I'm lucky in that my job is to try and make people laugh and play the right song at the right time to help their morning go a bit quicker. So we're just doing an extreme version of that every morning, really, and trying to get the tone right. We thought was going to be difficult on Monday, and we thought we kind of overwrote it a little bit before the show. It was like it was an address, and I didn't need to do that, but it was kind of the process to getting to just be normal and just be honest with how you're feeling. And then we started talking about, oh, well, I'm having to call my mum and dad, and I'm telling them to self-isolate because they are over 65, and dad's got a heart condition, quite a serious one. Mum's got bad asthma, and she's been poorly the last couple of years. So I've been talking about that a little bit, not extensively, but that helps everyone go, oh, right, this is okay, we're all in this. That bloke I hear every day on the radio, he's a human who's also taking precautions with this sort of thing. And we're talking about washing your hands, and we're talking about all of those sorts of things. And one thing we talked about today actually was the slight change in approach of, don't do this for you, do this for the vulnerable people around you. This is not sort of saying, make sure you wash your hands to keep you safe. It's like, wash your hands and take precautions and self-isolate if you're coughing, to protect the old bloke at the end of the road, or the young person who suffers with autoimmune problems or whatever. So that slight change, I think, is slowly getting through to people. And if we can help nudge that along, then I guess that's it. But yeah, you're right. Mainly, I'm here as a distraction, to remind everyone that it's okay to laugh through these sorts of things and have a break from the news and have a break from caring for everyone in your life, because it's, much like you will be, or everyone watching this, you're running around in your own life going, right, is mum okay? How's my auntie? What about Nan? Is she all right? So to have a bit of time to yourself, actually, weirdly, doing the radio show every day is a bit of time to myself, just to sort my own brain out. And me being connected to the listeners has helped massively this week, particularly as my wife Bella suffers with really bad anxiety anyway, and at the moment it's through the roof. It's a great tonic for me to feel connected, and I can report back and be like, it's not all completely as catastrophic as you might think it is. So yes, I mean, I guess selfishly it's helping me as well.
Yeah, I wanted to talk to you about mental health, because obviously if you're sort of injecting into your veins this constant stream of news about how bad the situation is, that can obviously have a very simple and obvious impact on people's mental health. And I just wonder, working at the BBC, you're very in tune to that. You're very aware of what's going on, right? And I wondered if you had any tips of perhaps how you've been taking care of yourself that you could share with other people who might also be, who might be struggling.
Yeah, I have been talking about this a lot on the show, and to Bella actually, about the natural human reaction. Well, for a lot of people, is to feel overwhelmed by it all, and you have to try and fight against that, because you cannot possibly comprehend the world. You can't take that all in, and you can't, in your brain, you can't think of a solution that's going to fix the entire world. So thinking about it on that scale makes it very daunting, and you go, well, it's so big, it's impossible to sort. The best thing for me, and what I've been saying to my friends and family and to Bella and actually all the listeners, my radio friends, has been has been to focus on the people around you in the immediate vicinity, and being kind in your community, whether that is your immediate sort of friends and family and checking up on them, but the old couple on the road, or your neighbours, or people that you sort of come into contact with throughout the week, workmates, whatever, doing your bit in that small circle of your life. And actually, it's I guess it's sort of an idealistic model of humanity, but if you sort out your own patch and everyone does that, then suddenly everything gets solved eventually. I know that is quite idealistic, but that is the only thing you can do. You can't fix a global pandemic on your own, but everyone has to do their own little bit, I guess, and make sure that their patch is cared for. And that doesn't mean looking after yourself. That actually means looking after everyone around you as well.
How are you, beyond broadcasting to the nation every morning, how are you staying connected to those people in your life? Are you Skyping them, FaceTiming them, calling them? Was it dropping off deliveries to the front door and then leaving? I mean, what sort of measures have you taken?
Yeah, I guess it's sort of changing as it goes on a bit. At the moment, every one of sort of my close friends and family are well stocked up, and touch wood, no one that close to me has got any symptoms at the moment. Mum and Dad have got what I think is as bad colds. At the moment, they're both sort of a bit coughy and all the rest of it, but no fever or anything like that. So I've been checking up on them a lot. I've been calling them and just saying, make sure you stay in. And they're taking it seriously, which is really great. They weren't a week ago. And I knew, because I'd been reading a load of stuff and listening to a load of podcasts, particularly from America, I just knew that the way it was being talked about was much more than just, oh, it's just flu. It's not. And I think that message is slowly getting out there to the boomers, and of which my parents are them. And to the point where I had a chat with my dad last week, and I said, you need to get inside now. You need to self-isolate and stop faffing around being on trains or whatever. And he said, well, yes, we've got tickets to see Brian Ferry on Friday, and then we'll self-isolate from Saturday. And I was like, that's not how it works, dickhead. You need to do this now. And I think that's I feel very proud of them that they are now saying, no, we're taking your advice, we're staying in, and we're, but I will, I'm checking up on them, calling them. My sister's she runs like HR for a big company, so she's been quite stressed out sorting all that out, so we're just checking up on her. Kids are still going to school at the moment. My niece and nephew, that is, not, I don't have any children, to my knowledge, and that's all happening. So there will be a point probably this weekend, maybe I'll go and just drive round to mum and dad's and maybe throw some food their way or something, or at least open the window and wave at them or whatever. But I'm definitely resisting touching and hugging and handshakes with everyone and all that kind of stuff. So at the moment, touch wood, feel okay and on top of it within the little world I operate in, I guess.
I saw you tweeted about self-isolation bangers. I wondered, first of all, what you've been listening to yourself, and second of all, if there are any other tunes similar to that one by Robin that you think are sort of people's ultimate stay-at-home dance on their own, whatever tunes.
I actually couldn't think of any more ones that work so on the nose in terms of wordplay, but I guess there's lots of tracks that have alone in them and lonely. Akon, Locked Up would be a good one, maybe. But the genuinely, and this is a massive corporate plug, but Annie Mac's Power Down playlist is really coming into its own at the moment, because it's just Annie's brilliant soothing voice anyway, and just a real sense of community, of listening to something which is just actually soothing your brain at the same time. So there's a track by Arlo Parks, which I'm listening to constantly. In fact, I went for a run last night to try and get some perspective and some brain space. And I listened to that song on repeat. It's a track called Eugene, and it's just very relaxing. And so there's lots of great tracks like that. That was in the Powerland playlist, and so that's well worth a listen to if you need something that's got it's interesting that, and this is not me slamming any streaming service, obviously, because I listen to them, but at these sorts of times, you sort of want an authored playlist. You want someone to be like, "Hello, world's we're alive, we're okay. Here's some great songs." You want someone to guide you through it all, and I guess that goes back to my point of radio shows hosted by humans is actually really vital at these sorts of times.
Yeah, absolutely, and I figured as well.
And also, just to pick up that, there was a playlist. There was a story last week. You might have seen it about a Spotify playlist called Lullabies. And if you didn't have the ad-free version, an advert for the new It film came up halfway through a song. So it would be like a really peaceful bit of Ludovico Einaudi, and then it would go, "He's back," like that sort of thing. And then it's like, so you need to. People need to know what to trust.
Trust Annie Mac. Trust in Annie Mac.
Trust Annie Mac always.
Always. Just finally, in terms of like gigs, festivals. I mean, I'm hearing today that we're going to hear shortly that Glasgow's cancelled.
No, it is now. It is. It's been cancelled.
It has been cancelled. Oh, there we go. So Glasgow's cancelled.
Has it just been cancelled?
Yeah.
That's not a massive surprise.
Yeah, I mean, when the government announces a ban on mass gatherings, it's not entirely surprising that 250,000 people in a field might not be congregating there as per usual.
And I've just read actually that EastEnders have stopped filming as well.
No.
Yeah.
EastEnders as well. Okay, these
Squares on lockdown. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I guess a message from someone, a music lover like yourself, to people who might be feeling a bit down in the dumps, that what they were looking forward to this summer, Glasgow, Reading, whatever, these events aren't happening anymore, and people might be feeling a little bit down. What do you have to say to those people?
Well, I'm one of those people. I'm gutted. I've got my ticket to Glastonbury. I was planning to go, and it's obviously not ideal. And they keep saying this. This is the phrase. It's unprecedented times, unprecedented, and it really is. But I guess it's just that's life. And to quote Love Island, it is what it is. That's you have to you just have to find ways of dealing with these bits of bad news. And I guess the fact that everyone's feeling the same definitely helps. And it's a short-term problem, hopefully, that means that we have 150 more years of Glastonbury. And it's remembering that these things won't last forever, and it's just being sensible and really cautious now will mean that we can continue to do these things in the future, and another Glastonbury will come around. But it's very damaging for all those sorts of creative industries. I totally feel for every business who is really struggling at the moment. So I guess it's remembering that it's not just the artists who will struggle with Glastonbury not happening. It's all those businesses that go and do food and supply whatever, water at Glastonbury, all those sorts of things, beer companies or whatever it might be. It's all of those people. So I guess if anyone can support those sorts of industries and keep buying music and keep reading books and like all of those sorts of things, and donating to charities if you can afford it, and think about people who are homeless at the moment and people who are really ill at the moment. It's absolutely crucial that everyone thinks outwardly a bit more, and if you do donate to a charity, maybe think about doubling it and all those. If you can, I think it's really important. If you can help those around you, then do. But yeah, it's tricky times, and look, I don't have all the answers. No one does have all the answers, but you've just got to try and find your own ways of muddling through.
Seems a good and important place to leave it. Greg James, thank you so much.
Thanks, Ollie. Speak soon.
Speak to you soon, mate. Cheers.